do tend to question themselves more and have less confidence. And I think one of the research has shown that in the movement forward in a corporate job, a woman will look at what's needed and mark off. She feels she has to tick all the boxes.
Of course.
And if there's a few that she doesn't tick, then she won't put herself forward.
Yeah.
Unless she can perfectly deliver. Whereas the male mind has more inner confidence and bravado, and in a sense oversell. But confidence is great. I mean, that's the kind of the male hormone, to have that courage and not see the faults and not see what's missing and move forward. But when you bring those two forces together in an equal environment, unless you're sensitive to that, you're going to find that women don't step forward and men do. And you say, well, where are the women?
Yes, yes. And I think that's slowly changing, where I think some job ads are actually saying, women are encouraged to apply. Or they're looking at more diversity, for example, are encouraged to apply for a role. But at the end of the day, I think you're right. Women doubt when they should be saying, let me try, or let me give it a go. I guess at the end of the day, it is not about how much confidence I have, it's about how much competence do I actually have.
Well, we need to champion each other.
Yes.
We need to see in each other our gifts and talents, because it's not always possible to see what you're great at. Butterfly can't see its own wings. We can't necessarily always see our greatness. That I think that's something that women can do for each other, and this is what I do in women's gatherings, is have a circle of trust where we really can see the potential in each other and support each other, and not let that, oh, it's only me doing this. Don't let that negative conversation come in. I think that's something that women can do for each other. We can support each other and encourage. We need role models, and we need to give each other a hand up, and push aside the competitiveness and help. The more we help women, the more women will be there to help other women. Yeah. I think we need to make a concerted effort for that.
Yeah, and the one thing I would add to that is every conversation needs to end with, what is one thing we can do differently? I think that's a starting point.
Well, that's going to create the radical reform that we've been talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
the revolution.
The revolution.
Radical revolutionary reform.
Absolutely.
The 3 R's.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why women got the vote in the first place, is because women got together and said, let's fight for this. This is our right. But we haven't done enough with that.
That's what you said, wasn't it? We haven't got together since then and got behind an idea or a cause and really champion change. And that's what we need to do, girls.
Yeah.
We need to, that's what we need to do. We need to have these powerful conversations and support the women out there and create the change.
Yes, lead the change.
Absolutely.
Lead the change, and not wait for someone to give permission to say, this is okay, or this is what I support you with. But I think men will feel threatened.
Yes.
And I feel threatened, because I just think, what in the world are they going to be doing? But I think we need to move beyond fear. I need to move beyond fear. You need to move beyond fear to say, what can we create? I think as a partners, we can do something greater than as individuals.
So our conversations about what can we do, rather than push you aside, David,
right,
and charge in there, which has never been my thinking anyway. It is really this: we have to have conversations about, we've been missing from the decision making.
Yes.
We've been missing from the communication and conversation. We want we want to be included, and our dialogue is a joint one. I mean, this research in the UK has shown, and I think it was Unilever who did a lot of the research. They had all male teams, they had all female teams, and what showed consistently, the ones that made the most money or most effective were balanced teams. Because you've got male skills, you're missing the women, you've got female skills, there's all sorts you're missing when you just have one gender. Right. And it was balanced teams. And it's more enjoyable. I mean, we want to work together, and this is interesting to see that that's what we want.
Yeah. I think the female mind is an untapped mind. In other words, we haven't done enough to really find out what are the skills they bring that would actually create the revolution that we're looking at.
Well, so much research, brain research, has not been done on females because of this messy business of hormonal changes, making it inconvenient.
And emotions, let's not forget the emotional.
Well, you know, men are driven by hormones as well, but they don't quite have the monthly cycle that women do, and it seems to interrupt the scientific data. So what I found out, what they've done is they castrate, not humans, you'd be pleased to know. they castrate rats, and they have these pseudo, I can't remember what you call a castrated animal, but you know, or whatever. They do the research on the castrated animal as a stand-in female. That's not a female brain. Is it? It's going to be completely different. It's only recently that they really looked at what's the difference in the female brain. And I think for the last 20, 30 years, women have tried to catch up and show that we can do it as good a job as. And it's been about the sameness.
Yeah.
And take that aside, we are different. We're not less than, we're different. And that's what we have to explore and celebrate, bring that difference in.
And I think women have got more agility, if I can call it that, to embrace difference. In other words, for the last 200 or 300 years, men have not been able to do that. I think we've separated the workforce into, you know, women do this and men do this. I think now women perhaps would have more of that brain agility to say, okay, it's not about them and not about us, but let's work together to create something quite unique, quite different.
It's interesting when you talk about the flexibility there's a new book out called The End of Men. Sorry about that, David. It's called The End of Men. I can't remember the name of the author. But in there she talks about how women have a more plastic kind of brain.
Right.
And this flexibility. And so they are like coming to this new era of change and challenges that we, you know, gender aside, we have all these challenges. And the woman's brain is more plastic, and it's like an immigrant arriving in a new country and doing whatever it takes to adjust into that new land, versus the male brain, which is more fixed. It's like the immigrant arriving in and trying to do what they did in the old country, in the new country. Everything has changed and they can't cope.
Yeah.
And that's what she was you know, talking about in this book, The End of Man. And I'm thinking, it is interesting how we are flexible, and we need that different approach, don't we? That flexibility.
Flexibility is key, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing you've also touched on, and I think, is the masculinization of the female executive. And I think we have created a role model where women have to become like men to advance up the organizational ladder. And I think that is a challenge that we need to, you know, embrace.